Tonight, tears and tributes for Stephanie Scott on the day she should be getting married. Her body found.
Wild behaviour from fans as Perth Glory problems get worse. A boy burnt by a flare set off in the stands.
Tributes for a Perth conservationist murdered in an axe attack in Zimbabwe.
And heaven in Perth for pop culture fans.
From the studios of 7 Perth, Samantha Jolly and Blake Johnson.
Welcome to 7 News. It should have been Stephanie Scott's big day, but instead of delivering a wedding speech, her father spoke at a memorial picnic for her. The New South Wales town of Bulletin was awash in a sea of yellow in Stephanie's honour. It came as police confirmed her remains were found on the side of a dirt road.
Every breath today was a struggle for Stephanie Scott's fiancé. It was her stoic family who rallied around Aaron Leeson-Woolley to lift not only his broken heart, but that of an entire community. Bob Scott put his own family's grief aside to thank a town in mourning.
And we feel very indignant that we can't give you something back because you've given us so much.
This picnic in the park united a community on the day Stephanie was supposed to be married, and just hours after her body was found.
Unfortunately, she was taken away from us for a short time, but now we've got her back and we'll restore her dignity.
This is where the search for the high school teacher ended, in bushland 70 kilometres north of Bulletin.
Police located the remains of who we believe is Stephanie Scott.
Forensic investigators worked through the night to collect evidence in the case against her accused killer, Vincent Stanford. Her remains were found just metres from this gravel road in the Kokopara National Park, near an area of scorched earth.
Whether there had been burning of the body, I can certainly say that is confirmed.
Today, video emerged of Stephanie and Aaron celebrating a friend's wedding a year ago. Today, it should have been them. Stephanie's sister took to social media, posting the speech she would have given. I'm sure you'd all agree that their bond is unique, special and happy. Their love is what we seek. A bond unbroken in death and shared by an entire town. This show of strength and support from the community today has let Aaron and the family know they're not alone in the hardest of days that lie ahead as they prepare to farewell Stephanie and live a life without her. Bob Scott had one final message for the gathering.
You remember her as the girl she was?
In Bulletin, Ashley Brown, 7 News.
A 13-year-old boy is in hospital with burns to his leg. He was hit by a flare at the Perth Glory match last night. Police were called in to calm unruly fans who went on a wild romp when the Glory lost 3-0. On the same day, they were banned from the finals for breaching the salary cap. Jordan Cutts reports.
It was a dark day for Perth Glory, and this is how some shattered fans responded last night. Police were called when spectators set off flares outside NIB Stadium after being thrashed by Sydney FC. Inside, this is what it looked like. 3 flares and 2 skyrockets were set off, burning spectators. A 13-year-old boy was hit in the leg before the match even started. He needed treatment at Princess Margaret Hospital. Police arrested 2 teenage boys, aged 15 and 16, over the incident. They've both been charged with grievous bodily harm. Another Glory fan tried to put one of the flares out and had trouble breathing.
I got a bit of a burn on my hand, not too bad, but wasn't pleasant. Covered in flare dust and had to breathe that in a bit.
7,500 people attended last night's match. Venue organisers put on extra security, knowing fans were upset, but it wasn't enough. Fights broke out. 4 spectators were evicted from the stadium.
I'm against all these flares, and last night it was just like a hooligan, looked like a soccer riot.
Venues West, who operates NIB Stadium, has vowed to impose 5-year bans on spectators who set off flares. Perth Glory could face fines by the FFA if it keeps happening.
Looks bad for the club, looks bad for the fans.
The mood at NIB Stadium sombre after the club was banned from finals and fined because it breached the salary cap. A late-night court bid against the decision failed. The FFA wasn't represented. The Glory will attempt another legal challenge on Monday in the Supreme Court, a last-ditch attempt to keep their finals campaign alive.
Whatever comes our way, we've got to take it on the chin and stand up and accept that.
Jordan Cutts, 7 News.
And Jordan Cutts joins us live now from Princess Margaret Hospital. Jordan, how is the 13-year-old doing?
Good evening, Sam. The teenager has been here since he arrived last night. Now, initially he was driven to Royal Perth Hospital before he was brought here to Princess Margaret. I can tell you he's in a stable condition at the moment and his family is here with him. Now, 7 News can reveal there are new moves to have the section of the stadium where the boy was hit with the flare closed for the Glory's final home game next Sunday. Now, that's the area behind the goals at the city end. Back to you, Blake.
Thanks, Jordan. A Perth conservationist has been murdered in an axe attack in Africa. Greg Gibbard worked with endangered animals in Zimbabwe. Today, friends remembered him as a kind man who loved his job.
Greg Gibbard didn't have a wife or children. He dedicated his life to animal conservation. To John Lemon, he was like a brother, best mates for 15 years.
It's just gut-wrenching because Greg's such a kind, gentle person and he didn't deserve it.
62-year-old Greg Gibbard was murdered in an axe attack earlier this week. It happened in Zimbabwe outside Greg's home near the Wanji National Park. Greg moved there 5 years ago and worked for the Painted Dog Conservation Group, dedicated to protecting one of the continent's most endangered species.
Greg's kind, gentle soul and committed to the cause of the African painted dog, and his memory will live on through the work that we do.
Greg was due to fly back to Perth in a couple of weeks for a well-earned break. Instead, his family and John are now going through the painful process of trying to bring his body home. John received a touching email from Greg just last week.
To know that less than 24 hours later he'd be dead, it's something I'll hold on to forever.
At this stage, no charges have been laid over Greg's death. Amelia Brune, 7 News.
There are still plenty of tributes coming in for former cricketer Richie Benaud, players who were once competitors on the field and our comrades, as the world mourns the death of a true legend of the game.
From the future of the game, a thank you.
I'm an OK batsman and I'm a leg spinner just like him as well.
At the SCG, there were tributes and memories of a dry wit.
Glenn McGrath got out for 2 and he said he's 98 short of a century. Is just a classic one-liner.
At Richie Benaud Oval, members of Sydney's Indian community held a minute's silence and then a game.
It's the best ground to play today, so paying respect to their legend.
He was the iconic voice of summer.
Australian and England summers, the cricketing world remembered Benaud
as the best. When Richie was commentated, everybody stood still.
Like gently describing the ball of the century.
Gary has absolutely no idea what has happened to it. He still doesn't know.
He had one of those lovely abilities to be able to criticise somebody nicely.
The British Prime Minister tweeted, "I grew up listening to Richie Benaud's wonderful cricket commentary. Like all fans of the sport, I will miss him very much." And this from a cricket legend, wonderful personality who was always warm and encouraging.
For me, it's a great friend gone, and for cricket, we'll never have another Richie Benaud.
The SCG was always a special place for Richie Benaud. As a youngster, he first saw Don Bradman play here. 12 years later, Richie Benaud was here in the home dressing room of the SCG playing his first match for Australia, a Test career that also ended at this great ground. As cricket prepares to say farewell, Chris Marr, 7 News.
Human remains found down a mine shaft south of Sandstone on Wednesday have been taken to Perth. Medical examiners will try to work out the cause of death and confirm the identity of the body, believed to be a man. Jeff Parry reports.
3 people, 2 missing, 1 dead, 2 separate mysteries. It's got people worried.
I reckon it's a little bit dangerous out in the bush now.
Yeah. Dangerous from who? From what?
People. If there's wrong people out there.
Mystery number 1, Raymond and Jenny Kellett, last seen 20 days ago prospecting 25 kilometres south of Sandstone. Their camp and car abandoned, they've simply vanished.
There's no tracks or traces at the moment.
Mystery number 2, a body down a mine shaft discovered while police were looking for the Kelletts. There are hundreds of these abandoned mine shafts around Sandstone, thousands of them across the goldfields, and most of them are like this, unprotected. And with this loose surface, it's not hard to imagine how someone could fall in. Or met with foul play, a prospect not ruled out by police. Other people have gone missing and never been accounted for, including 46-year-old Michael Graham, who was prospecting near Menzies when he disappeared in January 2013. Or Charlie Park, who vanished from Kalgoorlie in January 2012 and whose family believe he's been murdered. Paul Bennett says prospectors who come into Sandstone are nervous.
They're saying, what do they do out there now? They go out prospecting? And I'd just tell them go out in a group. Yeah.
And stick together?
Yeah, and stick together.
In Sandstone, Jeff Parry, 7 News.
And Jeff Parry joins us live now. Jeff, no signs of the search slowing down?
No, not yet, Sam. Those police and volunteers were out there in the bush again today, about 70 of them. It's the 11th day of the search, but remember the Kellets haven't been seen for 9 days before the search got underway. Major crime detectives and forensic investigators who were here to look at that body down the mine site, they've gone back to Perth. They've taken the remains back to Perth. The police and the volunteers and the fire brigade who have been out looking for the Kellets, they're back in Sandstone tonight. The search is over for today, and I understand that an assessment of whether or for how long the search will continue will probably be made late tomorrow or Monday. Sam?
OK, thanks, Jeff. WA Police released a hoon warning video on their Facebook page. It shows smoke from a recent burnout and a motorbike officer pulling over a car. The video has the warning: if you don't want to lose your dad's car for 28 days and be charged with reckless driving, don't do burnouts.
Comic and sci-fi lovers rubbed shoulders with Jedis, zombies and some famous faces in Perth for Comic Con. But as Monique Dirks reports, a couple of stars used the event to give fans a telling off for illegally downloading their show.
It's all about dressing up and standing out. From famous faces to the face behind a famous voice. The costumes are out of this world. Doctor Who, Star Wars, Power Rangers, a zombie apocalypse. And of course, there were comics. For the first time, there's a cosplay competition, a dress-up contest for big kids, some going above and beyond.
How long did it take you to get ready this morning?
Last night was about 2 hours of shaving, I'm not going to lie.
Fans faced long lines just to spend a few short moments with their idols.
Perth's great. I've been here once before, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I think, to the same convention when it was tiny. There was a couple of hundred people, so it's unbelievable to see it now.
Huge, just like the number of Australians illegally downloading TV series Game of Thrones.
Stop it! Stop it right now! The only reason people illegally download is because they want their content when they want it. You know, it's not because they want it for free or they're evil people. They just want their content when they want it.
There's 20,000 people expected here this weekend, but if you missed out today, don't worry, it's on again tomorrow. But take it from me, dress up because you'll feel very left out if you don't.
Stay out of trouble.
Monique Dirks, 7 News.
Grant Hackett on claims death threats triggered his drug addiction. That's next.
Plus, wiped out the devastating aftermath of a monster tornado.
And they're back. How ridiculous. Show off some incredible ball skills.
From 7 a.m. on 7.
A public servant responsible for keeping children safe in Queensland schools faces child sex charges. Brett O'Connor has been suspended after allegations he abused 2 boys while he was a teacher in Sydney.
Charged with protecting children, now charged with harming them, at home and in hiding.
Eamon Atkinson from 7 News.
Brett O'Connor is accused of indecent assault and sexual intercourse with a child. The first alleged victim was 12 years old at Sydney St Joseph's College in 1987. The second was the same age at St Gregory's College, Campbelltown in 1989. Mr O'Connor was then a Catholic brother. Now he's the head of child safety for Education Queensland.
He was go-to. Every meeting you went to that was about child protection, he was there because that was his job.
Mr O'Connor has developed policies to stop children from being groomed. Safety advocates hope he didn't implement a more sinister agenda.
Maybe employing people that fit with the way that they think or not, or getting rid of people that don't, you know, someone that's on the verge of finding them out.
Although Brett O'Connor doesn't have any direct contact with children in his role at the Education Department, he works with them one-on-one here at this suburban medical practice as an adolescent psychologist.
If he is a perpetrator, then that makes my stomach turn.
Mr O'Connor has been suspended from the Education Department. Under government policy, he is still being paid. He'll face court on Monday, charged with the same crimes he's supposed to help prevent. Eamon Atkinson, 7 News.
7 people were injured in a bomb explosion in Thailand. The bomb, placed in a ute, exploded in the car park of a shopping mall on the tourist islands of Koh Samui yesterday, while late-night shoppers were inside the building. An Italian girl and 6 Thais were hurt. Police say the car was stolen.
Swimmer Grant Hackett has relived his troubled past after his father revealed a death threat led to his addiction to prescription medication. Hackett says he understands why his dad broke his silence, but he just wants to move on.
After 6 years, Grant Hackett is back, today posing with his national teammates. But his tumultuous past isn't yet behind him, with his father revealing a death threat triggered his addiction to still knocks.
Yeah, that's probably something I don't really want to openly discuss, but at the end of the day, I just think people don't understand the ups and downs of the last 3 years and the pressures that were associated with that.
Grant's father, Neville, says his son turned to the drug after a threatening phone call 2 years ago. It's not the first time he's gone public with his problems.
I think even my dad reading some of the articles about his son through the week and how people just get things so wrong and the lies, I think it just gets a bit frustrating for them.
At 34, he's the oldest swimmer ever to make the Aussie team.
Now it's just about doing it for all the right reasons, and whilst I have that feeling and that desire, I'll continue with it, and whilst I don't, I won't. So that could take me to the Olympic Games, or it might not.
18-year-old Mac Horton never thought he'd be on the same team as Hackett. This was the pair 9 years ago. But last night, he broke Hackett's age record in the 1500-metre freestyle.
He likes to offer tips. You know, I don't need to go to him asking for anything. He'll just come forward and, you know, tell me what he feels like he needs to pass on.
Kira Ballinger, 7 News.
Foreign Minister Julie Bishop will try to persuade Iran to take back failed asylum seekers when she visits Tehran next week. Iran has previously refused to accept thousands of Iranians who travelled by boat to Australia and were denied refugee status.
They deserve to be in Iran. They belong in Iran if they're found not to be refugees.
The Greens say some Iranians will face death if forced back into persecution.
The man being called the mastermind behind deadly terror attacks in Mumbai has been set free on bail. He was released by Pakistan's High Court after judges accused officials of detaining him without enough evidence. Islamic militants killed 164 people in the attacks in 2008. India has condemned the release.
Only 3 from a pod of 149 dolphins have been saved from a mass beaching in Japan. Rescuers did all they could to try to save the melon-headed whales, but conditions became too dark and dangerous to continue the rescue. It's not clear why they beached themselves. It's the first time wildlife officers have seen more than 100 of them on the one beach.
Devastated residents are picking through what's left of their homes after powerful tornadoes barreled through the US state of Illinois, shattering trees and homes. 2 women were killed in the small town of Fairdale.
Fairdale, Illinois is almost wiped off the map.
Just completely flattened down to the ground.
Smashed to pieces by a 90-kilometre-an-hour twister.
Oh my gosh, oh my God, oh my God.
A powerful monster storm.
He's over, he's over!
Showing no mercy as it ploughed an 80-kilometre path of chaos.
Get closer, get closer, get closer.
There were no warning sirens, just text messages and tweets to get underground.
And it's just devastating. That's all I can say.
2 women in their 60s were killed in the rubble. They were neighbours and friends. Teams searched the wreckage for anyone else.
We've obviously suffered severe tragedy here.
The town of Rochelle is also in pieces.
This is the house.
At a local restaurant, the owner scrambled 12 people into the basement as the twister took aim.
We were in the basement 2 to 3 minutes before it just demolished the building.
This is what they left behind and what they emerged to from a storm seen just once or twice a decade in Illinois. This one certainly left its mark. In the United States, Emma Dallymore, 7 News.
The Perth boys with a knack for throwing...
I've done some silly things in my time, but this is the flying fish.
Flying fish seems a pretty good name for this how ridiculous...
Tuesday, join Gordon Ramsay as he discovers kitchens in crisis.
I'm amazed you haven't killed anybody.
But to fix...
Hey you, there's a store near you.
I love it.
Welcome to Sport. West Coast power forward Josh Kennedy has warmed up for a classic confrontation with the Dockers next Sunday by booting 10 goals against Carlton last night. Matt Rosa, another strong performer after nullifying Chris Judd.
Carlton scored 62 points last night. Josh Kennedy almost beat them on his own.
Runs around, kicks the goal and brings the house down.
For the third time in his career, Kennedy hit double digits and became the first player to kick 10 goals against a Mick Malthouse coached team since 1984.
Now, it's not very often a player kicks 10 goals in this modern age of footy. It was just coming down beautifully tonight.
No, look, mate, like I said, the boys in the middle who are delivering the footy, it makes it so much easier for us, and they were on, so it helps us a lot.
While the fans were impressed, his coach and teammates forgot to keep count.
I didn't realise he'd kick number 10 until everyone started running over to him.
I didn't think that. I didn't even know.
It was hard not to notice Kennedy's dominance.
And Kennedy punches the defender.
He kicked 6 goals in the third quarter alone.
Gathers it falling to the ground. He's got 5.
By the end of that term, the Eagles had it won, playing a free-flowing brand of footy, plenty of run and a bit of risk.
Great team goal, West Coast.
Nick Natanui was again influential in the ruck and took just 15 seconds to have an impact.
Natanui storming towards half forward, sends it long down towards the goal square. Lyset trying to shepherd it, runs on and goes through for a goal.
While Mark Lacroix was also lethal, finishing with 3 goals.
Tailor-made for his accuracy, and he doesn't let anyone down.
Chris Judd was a problem early, amassing 12 touches in the first term, but Matt Rosa was sent to tag the former Eagle and shut him down. Liam Duggan made his debut, fulfilling a lifelong dream.
The feeling as he run out was unexplainable, and then when I got my chances, it was just footy as usual, and really we could get a win.
The Derby looms next week. Scott Selwood is unlikely to play due to an ankle problem, while Simon Tunbridge was subbed out injured in the third quarter. Ryan Daniels, 7 News.
Great win. Fremantle are in Geelong today ahead of tomorrow's grudge match against the Cats. Remarkably, despite the game being at Simmons Stadium, the Dockers are favourites and the Cats are bracing for a fired-up Freo.
Every time we play them now, they're really physical games. We know the game plan quite well, and they really know our game plan well too, so it always ends up being a pretty entertaining clash.
Valentine has a bit to say and he tries to niggle, but I think Matty Scarlett landed one on his chin one day, which is probably what a lot of players have wanted to do.
The Western Bulldogs stunned Richmond today, winning by 19 points at the MCG, while Melbourne suffered an embarrassing defeat, losing to the Giants by 45 points in Canberra. Adelaide thumping Collingwood at Etihad Stadium by 27 points.
Dustin Martin with 11 first-quarter possessions kept the Tigers in the game early. The Richmond defence was shaky though. The Dogs' three-quarter time lead, 28 points.
Can finish.
Inspired by Chris Newman, the Tigers made a late charge.
Here they come, the Tigers.
Jack Revolt trying to lift his team, but the young doggies kept their cool.
Wood thumps it through.
It was back-to-back wins for the Bullies.
I think the approval rating's pretty high. It must be as high as Bob Hawke back in the early 80s.
We don't want to be everyone's second best side, because we're a threat to their first best side, and we're not there yet.
Collingwood copped a shellacking from the Crows. Former Blue Eddie Betts booting one of the goals of the season so far.
Eddie Betts. Oh my goodness. Don't try that at home. That is phenomenal.
Ben Sinclair subbed out with a hammy as a frustrated Travis Cloke battled with Adelaide. Brodie Smith suffering a sickening hit to the head and getting subbed out. Melbourne squandered a 27-point lead as the Giants crushed the Demons after half-time. GWS booting 14 consecutive goals in an amazing second half.
To Devon Smith. Oh, no! You can't keep that.
Drives into the pocket for Cameron. He's a chance from there, Cameron. He's a big chance.
Consecutive wins, and it's the Giants' best start to a season.
And in the waffle today, Swan Districts ended the Bulldogs' unbeaten start. East Freo were too good for Claremont, while Peel made it 2 in a row, beating Perth by just 5 points. Well, a glory great Jamie Harnwell has described it as the worst day in the club's history. Banned from the A-League finals for salary cap breaches, with the club set for a massive overhaul. The Glory were also thrashed last night 3-0 by Sydney FC.
It was an emotional Glory coach post-match as reality set in.
I think the ultimate thing is that we just all hang in there and stick together and finish off the season in a proud manner, where you can have some integrity about yourself, you know.
2 games to go and no finals, with Lowe full of praise for his players.
We've performed as professionals outstandingly all year, and let's not let that drop. We've got a moral obligation to the other teams in the league.
The players were informed just hours before last night's 3-0 loss to Sydney that their title hopes were over.
Break for a beanie. Bernie, a beanie, spectacular.
7 News understands some players are angry, having lost faith with club management, and are exploring greener soccer pastures.
I believe the PFA have advised the players that there may be a chance to get out, that the club may be in breach of contract with what's happened.
The Glory will officially lodge an injunction with the Supreme Court on Monday and will know within days if they're able to play finals. Regardless of that, it's tipped heads will roll.
From next season, you know, it's got to be a new Glory. There's got to be a broom put through, and the club has to be open and honest.
Peter Vlahos, 7 News.
Aussie duo Adam Scott and Jason Day have a big job ahead of them to catch runaway leader Jordan Spieth at the Masters. Spieth holds a 5-shot lead at the halfway point, with Day and Scott both at 3 under, 11 shots behind the American.
He gave fans a glimpse in Sydney, but the Masters is another level. Still, Spieth shows scant regard for pressure. He had 1 blemish yesterday, none today. This was flawless. His second to 18 set up a shot at the all-time 36-hole major record. It wasn't to be.
I'm sure they don't really like seeing really low scores, so they might speed the greens up a little bit tomorrow.
Still, as every Greg Norman fan is painfully aware, a big lead going into the weekend here at Augusta National guarantees nothing. 15. Certainly Adam Scott has convinced a second green jacket is still possible. A stunning eagle at 15 left him at 3 under.
Brilliant stuff there, boys.
There's one guy well out in front. The next guys aren't that far in front, so if the leader doesn't win, I'm not that far behind.
Jason Day's also 11 back. He had 67 yesterday. He was miserable after a second round 74. Tiger had a breakthrough 69, then pleaded for lightning-fast greens on the weekend. Rory McIlroy flirted with missing the cut, but dug deep.
Rory McIlroy has that for an eagle.
But they're all chasing the young Texan. In Augusta, Pat Welch, 7 News.
And WA's Daniel Ricciardo has qualified 7th fastest for the Chinese Grand Prix. Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton will start from pole position, as Ricciardo qualified 7th behind Nico Rosberg and Sebastian Vettel. A fan tempting fate during practice, risking his life to get into the Ferrari garages. And what about this frightening spill at the US MotoGP? Remarkably, Britain's Sam Lowes still topped the timesheets. And Aussie George Bailey can count himself unlucky after falling victim to an all-time classic catch in the IPL.
Oh, what a catch! What a catch! This has to be the catch of the tournament till now.
James Faulkner's delivery looked headed over the rope before Tim Southey and Karen Nair combined on the boundary. Fair effort, that one. That's Saturday Sport. Now here are Sam and Blake.
Thanks, Barra. Up next, a warning to parents who don't immunise their children.
You could soon lose welfare payments worth thousands.
Plus, school children among 33 people killed in a fiery collision between a bus and a gas tanker.
And 2 friends hit the Mirrabooka squash courts in the hopes of setting a new world record. Edition of 7 News. Tonight's top stories. The body of murdered school teacher Stephanie Scott was found last night. Today should have been her big day. Instead of delivering a wedding speech, her father spoke at a memorial picnic. A 13-year-old boy is in hospital with burns to his leg after he was hit by a flare at the Perth Glory match last night. Fights broke out among some upset fans. 4 spectators were evicted. And there were plenty of tributes coming in for former cricketer Richie Benaud. He was honoured at the SCG, and there was even a tweet from the British Prime Minister.
Parents who don't vaccinate their children could lose welfare payments under a policy set to be announced before the May budget. The federal government's considering scrapping a provision which allows anti-vaccination parents to still claim benefits.
Lisa Perellan has 3 children. They're all fully vaccinated.
I see it as a personal choice, but it's one that I think people have to understand impacts on the community as a whole.
The federal government agrees and is considering tightening access to childcare assistance and family tax benefit A for parents who don't immunise their kids. The reform would close a loophole which allows anti-vaccination parents to still claim welfare by signing up as conscientious objectors.
Vaccination is a cornerstone of our public health. We don't accept conscientious objection to having a driver's licence or paying tax or voting.
It could cost parents like Tasha Davis more than $2,000 per child per year.
It doesn't matter what legislation or what punishment you put in place. You cannot make a parent hurt their child. They will not do it.
Retirees could also face a closing loophole in the budget, with the Treasurer pushing to split access to healthcare cards from pensions. The move would target high-income earners who arrange their finances so they can get the age pension and, in turn, access to cheap healthcare and medicine.
We want to make sure that we can continue to pay a generous pension into the future. Tony Abbott should take his hands off Australia's pensions. That'll be the best news this budget could bring for millions of pensioners.
The Treasurer will deliver that news a month from tomorrow. Amelia Brace, 7 News.
School children are among 33 people killed in a fiery collision between a bus and a gas tanker in Morocco. The children were returning from a sports carnival when the accident happened near the city of Tantan. Survivors say they were sleeping and woke to an explosion. The vehicles then burst into flames. 9 more people were taken to hospital.
Turkish authorities admit security is their #1 concern as they prepare for the influx of Anzac pilgrims for the centenary of the Gallipoli landing in 2 weeks. The rise of Islamic State in neighbouring countries has them on full alert.
Such is the security climate here. National Police Day commemorations were protected by rooftop snipers and patrolling troops. The Anzac centenary will be one of the toughest challenges in the local force's history.
Security of our citizens and our guests is our greatest concern.
The Governor, the equivalent of a state premier, and his police chiefs told us they're ready for the influx of 10,500 Anzac pilgrims and VIPs such as Prince Charles, Prince Harry and Tony Abbott. But the rise of Islamic State just over the border in Syria has put them on full alert.
Turkey is surrounded by countries with terror issues, war, chaos and unrest.
Local officials estimate up to 2,500 Special Forces officers will camp out in these hills above Anzac Cove on April the 24th and 25th. They say they're the cream of the Turkish military. They will be joined by police and undercover agents everywhere.
We will have action for safety from the air, sea and land.
They feel the pressure of being on show to the world.
This is also a very important day for us.
At Gallipoli, Nick McCallum, 7 News.
2 mates are in the grips of a Guinness World Record attempt tonight. Darren Yates and Adam Fisher are trying to play a non-stop squash game for 35 hours. The pair hopes to raise $300,000 to build a children's home in Nepal. All going to plan, Darren and Adam will complete their world record-breaking game at midday tomorrow.
Will it be second time lucky for Hillary Clinton?
How she could become the United States' 45th president.
Also training with the top Premier League soccer side before they head down under.
And snapped up in no time at all, the bad news for Apple fans.
It's been described as one of the worst political secrets in America. Hillary Clinton is about to announce she wants to be the country's 45th president. Launching a second election campaign, she'll have to tackle questions about her professional decisions and about her private life.
Don't you someday want to see a woman president of the United States of America?
Subtle isn't a word you'd use to describe Hillary Clinton. The former First Lady and Secretary of State has had her eyes on the Oval Office at the White House for a long time.
I announced today that I'm forming a presidential exploratory committee.
This was in 2007 when Mrs. Clinton first ran for president.
I'm back!
Within the next 48 hours, she's expected to throw her hat in the ring again. The 67-year-old is likely to be the frontrunner for the Democrats.
I think she's going to be head and shoulders above anybody, so I don't expect her to have a serious contest.
She'll have to answer some tough questions like why she used a private email account while she was America's top diplomat.
No more secrecy.
Perhaps an untimely coincidence, a musical production has just begun in New York, reopening a closet of skeletons, including that sex scandal the Clintons would like America to forget. Jessica Dietrich, 7 News.
They're a giant of the English Premier League and are headed down under next month. Tottenham Hotspur has given 7 News exclusive access to their London training. Star players say they're looking forward to sampling all Australia has to offer.
A packed stand for midweek training. It's what these Tottenham stars are used to at a club that embraces multicultural North London. And for that, this community loves them back.
Because they're the best team in the Premier League. Just watch them and then you'll see how good they play.
He's not wrong. Spurs have a quartet of young English stars led by 21-year-old Harry Kane, currently the league's top goal scorer. In May, a full-strength side is due down under, including rising English star Ryan Mason, a local who made the side through the club's academy.
Fast, exciting and attacking football, that's what we try and bring to this football club.
This will also be an Asia-Pacific tour. The club announced this week it'll take on a side in Malaysia just days before Sydney FC. All the homework, though, is about the Australian club. These boys admit they don't know a lot about the Sky Blues. They're also taking tips on what to do away from the game.
If we get any spare time and some time off, I think it'd be good for some of the lads to go out and see what Sydney's got to offer.
In London, Hugh Whitfeld, 7 News.
If you've pre-ordered an Apple Watch, you may have to wait more than a month to get it. Demand for Apple's latest gadget is running red hot, with delivery expected to take between 4 and 6 weeks. Apple lovers lined up at stores all over the world to play with the new product. They can only try it on for now. The watches don't go on sale in stores for another 2 weeks. Showers should make way for sunshine later next week. The weather details coming up.
And will you get lucky tonight? The numbers for Saturday Lotto.
Amy Adams is a storybook princess in a strange, crazy land. And Patrick Dempsey is her Prince Charming.
Good morning, Robert.
But will the wicked Susan Sarandon ruin their happy ending? Disney's magical adventure, Enchanted, next on 7.
Now, Fuel Watch, Perth's petrol prices, brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
Taking a look at the weather now, it seems showers will continue for at least the next few days. The max in the city this afternoon was 23.5 and we also had 2.2 millimetres of rain. Right now it's 18.4 outside. On the satellite there's a line of cloud running east to west north of Perth. It's being bordered by a low pressure system just south of the Esperance coast. For country areas tomorrow, sunny and hot in Port Hedland, 37, Geraldton a few showers, Kalgoorlie partly cloudy, 21, Bunbury and Albany rain. Interstate, it looks like it'll stay dry in Geelong for the Dockers game there tomorrow. Partly cloudy in Canberra and showers for Sydney. On local waters, a southwesterly at 15 to 20 knots will stay that way all day before shifting southerly in the evening. Seas to 2 metres, swell to 1.5. For Perth, we've got more showers on the way. Tomorrow, the Bureau says we'll get up to 3 millimetres and the rain will ease in the evening. A low tonight of 16 and a max of 22 degrees. Monday, a shower or two clearing, 22 again. Tuesday, a slightly lower chance of showers. It'll start to clear by Wednesday with temperatures hovering in the mid-20s. And now it's time for Lotto. Good luck.
Get your tickets ready. It's time for the Saturday Lotto draw. Give luck a chance.
Hi, Hayley Picoto here. Welcome to tonight's Saturday Lotto draw number 3519. Here with me are our draw officials and government supervisor. The total prize pool for tonight's draw is over $14 million. Wishing you the best of luck. The first numbers that you'll need tonight are 13 and 21. The total Division 1 prize pool for tonight is over $4 million, and to win, you'll need to match all 6 of those winning numbers. There's number 30 and number 3. Last week we had 8 lucky Division 1 winners who each picked up more than $500,000 in the Saturday Lotto draw. This week, number 24 and number 7 are your lucky numbers. The first supplementary, number 27. Let's recap from the top. 13, 21, 33, 24, 7, and our supplementaries 27 and 4. Don't forget that next Tuesday's Oz Lotto has jackpotted to a massive $40 million. Don't miss out. Grab your ticket from your local Lotto outlet. Congratulations if you were a winner this evening. Have a wonderful night. I'll see you on Tuesday.
If a child has been traumatised and abused, we can immediately connect them to the services they require. If you'd like to know more about Lotteryway's grants, then visit the website.
Hope those numbers were lucky for you.
Thanks for joining us this evening. Stay on 7 now for the Saturday night family flick, Enchanted.